Hey, welcome back, guys, to Cleflin Nights. This is a video log of all the gaming that I do with my friends and family for weekly. Anyways, it's role playing and stuff. So, this is a video log for 11 July 2017, episode 29. Yes, 29. It's impressive, I think. That's a lot of video time. Anyways, and gaming took place in a variety of different ways and a variety of different people, texting, email, and face to face. So here we go. I'm gonna try to simplify things by going to the smaller earthy worlds, to the Cleflin and Clefland, where a lot of the other gaming took place. First off, we started on Earth 224. It's the early morning of July 11th, 2017. This is a different world, kind of parallel to this one, all like the 200s. And Ray is waking up, getting ready to go for his jog. He's 20, pushing 25, 24-ish. Same job he's doing now, but he's just 24. Lives in the same house. And no prospective other, just a kid. And anyway, kid at 24. I was gaming and had kids at 24. But when he leaves his house to go out the door for his jog with his iPod and everything, he immediately steps onto the endless staircase. Now, the endless staircase is something I created decades ago. Maybe that's why it's weird to people, because it was created by a teenager. But anyways, staircase that goes endlessly down, spiral staircase. On every sixth stair, and the steps are like stone, every sixth stair is a door, and it leads to multiple alternate worlds. And when he's there, he immediately calls out for Watashi wa, but I don't answer, because the person who does answer is Wanda Magic. Wanda Magic, she answers him and talks to him and says, "Hey, I'm willing to make a deal with you, take you on an adventure, but you're going to have to do things a little bit different in this new world." And basically, it's about him getting another team on a not Earth 200, or not Earth 10, not Earth 10.3, not Earth 210, but Earth 210.24. So that's sort of the situation that's going to happen. And and talks to him about it, and he's known her forever, gaming wise or whatever, and she's known him. So she makes this deal with him, and she says, "Well, go through that door down there, 6 steps down." He goes down to the door, he opens it up, and she says, and she had told him that he's going to have different powers in this world. And so that, the 24s and the 23s and 24s is where characters get different powers, and they normally have their default power. And in this case, 23s are like I switch the powers amongst the players. 24 is where I'm switching it with players from alternate worlds, as well as NPCs from other alternate worlds. So, because they're just powers that I want to see played, and we're not getting to those worlds anytime soon to get those powers played. And so he goes into this room, and off the staircase, and it is based off of the power eggs, and these 2 pools of water. One's got powers from this player characters, alternate player characters. More complicated than that, just simplified. And the other one is NPCs. Well, he chooses, and he can see these eggs in the water, the water kind of in this cave. And that's referring to the Cave of Power Eggs, which is in Clefland, Clefland also, and the fire salamanders protect, and there's a dragon. But nonetheless, it comes in door, and there's these two pools. So in this world, he gets to choose where he's going to go, and it usually the first player that gets to go in the pool of this world chooses when his path chooses everybody else's path and what powers, and they may not get to, oh, this is the powers I'm stuck with on this world, great, or yay, this is really cool. So anyways, he chooses the NPC pile and pool, and he dives in, and then he sees that in these eggs are different women, and he looks at them, and I describe them to him, and 7 different women, and he's got to choose which one does he want to get their powers of. And so he doesn't know anything else besides the way they look, can't choose the powers, and none of them really, if he would have gone into the alternate players, he might have recognized some people, but he chose this one. He doesn't recognize anybody. So he chooses the Asian girl, which is based off of a character called Ami, and chooses her, and then she disappears, and he leaves the water. He's got these new powers now. He doesn't know what they are, though. And he goes up to the door on the opposite side of the room, which is like a high-techish sort of door, and with glow around it. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll go into it. And then he winds up being on a lightning ship. This is actually on Earth 210.24. There, he commands a new lightning ship, gets some suit, and he calls it Light Serenity. And he immediately says, take me to the Luna, or the asteroid that has the Luna device on it, meaning the knowing device, Fantasia device, and all that stuff. Luna Station, kind of like Black World has. And that's where we last left off. And that also was happening early morning on 11 July 27. So he's out here in space, floating around big planet Earth. You can see the East Coast. He's trying to find this asteroid, so he's taking a little lightning, and the asteroid's floating out here. So that's his last gaming that we had for the last week. He's played with that. Okay, so that's where we left. That was all new, so we didn't leave our heroes anywhere. So that's first chapter of his new story, to give himself another team so he can play them in Clefland. The idea was only to have 12 clans in Clefland, and now I'm going to have 14. I don't know, maybe I have to kill off 2 clans. But anyways, what would you do? Let them kill each other off. Anyways, so where we go to Clefland, without the D, regular normal Clefland. So we last left our heroes. It's day 2, mid-afternoon. Chris Ritz had woken up and realized that the Red Baron had been taking care of him, Manfred, and but basically Red Baron saying, hey, I'm paying you if you can unload all these ships that are coming in. So he's got his time stop powers, and he uses them, constantly rewinding time to, because when he stops time, tick, 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 the clock goes off, kind of like in The Girl with the Gold Watch and Everything, for those who know that movie. But the clock ticks, and then he starts to hear it tick, tick, and then he can reset the clock, because he gets about 45 seconds of stop time for him. It's nobody else notices it, but he does. And so that'll help increase his abilities the more he does it. And so he's doing this for probably a couple hours of moving, and there's no gravity in stop time, so it's easy for him to move tons of cargo from a ship, the Rhiannon, and that had come from Davenport. Yeah, see, the characters are trying to get some money in Clefland so they can do things and go adventure, buy things, whatever. And this is what he's trying to do, get this money started. Anyways, So that's what he's doing. Where we last left Joel and Ray, who are really Christopher Masters and in Golden, they're at the theater of war, and the Reds were protecting them because they had just come out. And Christopher Masters comes out of Ray or in Golden, and they set up Red Queen, one of the Reds, for a match, and she was going against Indira, and Indira, yeah, she beat her last week. So this week, so far the only things that happen is in Golden quickly gets back downstairs from where he had water blasted a supposed saboteur, and as she fell into the ring, he goes back downstairs and trying to protect maybe Christopher Masters and the Reds. But in the end, the assailants never happen. They go pick up their winnings from playing in the theater of war, and let's see what happens next. Okay, and Christopher Masters picks up the winnings and puts it into his absorbing suit. Remember, in Golding, he got that from Tower of Science. And then they go to Ray's Rock House. And since we were kind of gaming this via text, it was hard to do any sort of actions. Like some people can never walk anywhere in Cleflin without being attacked. Perhaps they would have. But in this case, being surrounded by 7 Reds might have been a death sentence for anybody who tried. But the constant killing that they have been doing is causing a backlash too. So then they go to Ray's Rock House to plan out their, get some food, sit in a booth and listen to music and dealing with the Reds. And they have, Reds are pretty much, they're not blank slates. I mean, they're war machines, warriors, but they're blank slate when it comes to anything outside of the realm of war. So that's where they're going to start dealing with some of the, the characterization of the Reds. Meanwhile, action was going on with Hans, Yu, and Alex north of Cleflin, about 10, 20 miles north of Cleflin in the woods. They were attacked by the Green Brotherhood. I'm calling them that. That's what I'm going with, because they wear green. They're kind of like a brotherhood. They don't live in Cleflin. So, Alex stays back by the wagon train that has been attacked, and where most of the people have been killed. They're there. They're stuck. Or they're been trapped in the Scale Mage's spells of binding, and Hans and Yu. Well, Yu was last when we last left our heroes out there. Yu was getting attacked by a druid, and this druid wraps him up in this magical vine, kind of like a rose vine, and it's got thorns. They're just digging into his skin. He's lying on the ground. He's like getting terribly beat up. And Hans, because Hans had blasted Kill Chain up into the sky with his 0G sort of, or opposite G sort of power, and as as Kill Chain was falling back down, Hans Kill Chain disappears. Maybe nearest time spot. Who knows? Because he's a TL. But gone, just like George, gone. And right. So Hans then now can focus on Yu. Yu just blood, pain, and Hans can't figure out anything to do. He's trying different things. Eventually, Yu, who has the power to create anything, kinda, and he creates the Shrine Pistol, and puts it and has it on stun, and pops the pops the druid. Stun, druid falls down, no saving throw, but the spell of the vines continue around, and he's like, he puts on like a mask to cover his face so it doesn't get shredded, but he still hurts. Hans eventually picks up the staff of the druid, taps the spell, and then finds are undone, but U is covered in Korean U. That's RYU. Pronounced U. I looked it up. And he covered in blood. Hans. And now what do we do? Assailants kind of... there are still some other bad people out there, but U's killed a lot of people. At least especially the Viking guy. So, say Viking, but barbarian looking dude. Blew him up. So, that's what we played so far in Claflin. And now, Clafland, 15 minutes into this video show. It's about halftime and ready to go on to the next. Should we go into an intermission? No. All right. In Claflin. Wow. It's the aftermath of the killing of the dragon that was done last episode. Where we last left, our heroes were all over the place. And I'm going to go down on kind of the list as I was writing some of the things that had happened during the last weeks of gaming and in the different cities. So I'm kind of looking at my notes here that I posted online or put online. Xander and Crow are like using the Tower of Magister, and they're like teleporting everywhere. And they drop off Andrew's family, Dolphin and the kids, drop them off with the Baron in Camelot to Silverlay Place, and they, he puts them on a coach and sends them back to the castle, and because he's talking to the knowing here, his knowing, Sir Bedivere, and he's trying to get some information, like, what do I do with my freaking barony? Well, after they leave after that, and then they head to Innsbruck, realizing that Tony's land is getting wasted. And at first I was playing Tony and I forgot, oh yeah, hey, Frank plays Tony too. So I just trying to play as fast as we can because there's so many interruptions. And they basically, with the help of Zara, Xander's sister, rescue Tony Stark's family, Lorna and their 4 kids. That leave Innsbruck, and they get dropped off at Baxter's Inn in Hastings. So, but while in Hastings, Xander asks the knowing there, Podrick, is my mom dead? And the answer is yes. A little scroll comes from the sleeve. Yes. And, which sucks. For him, he's all pissed. Breaks the table. And his dad shows up, Marcus, which is the Count, and finds out that his wife's dead. Oh, suck, I'm going to go get drunk in a bar or someplace. So he heads there to do that. But he changes his mind on the way, as a lot of characters change their mind. I want to go make things bad, but then I make things better. Yay. And he takes Noni and heads down to Marrakesh and Avalon, and we will pick them up along the way. But while Crow had stopped time because the wave was hitting, this dragon blows up, creates this unnatural wave at first, which hits Marrakesh and the immediate coastlines, Innsbruck too. But the rest of the wave that it pushes other waves and makes this huge tidal wave that's going to the other kingdoms. And it's just taking longer, and it's less powerful, and it's something that actually can be affected by the players. Well, anyways, this wave is hitting Innsbruck, the Stark's town, and when Crow appears there and he stops time for a many amount of time, all other players that have time-stopping capabilities don't stop in stop time. They keep moving. So I got to play them. So meanwhile, Carter, who's in Cleveland, he is Carter Sr. He takes a bunch of city guard and because they oh, by the way, Anders, who's also got time stopping powers, time spot powers, he triggers a download, so all the characters know it's everything that's going on, and they don't have to try to find out from somebody else. Anders triggers that, and so Carter instantly, since he's a version of Chris, gets the download, goes, oh crap, this crap is happening. I need to go evacuate the docks here in Cleveland. And he finds out as he gets people down there to do that. Prince Chris, who's the hand for the king, yes, because this on this world, their culture is somewhat trying to be based off of Game of Thrones culture, Westerosi. That's only here. That's not the rest of Cleveland or anything. Similar. And so then Carter gets guards down there and finds out that when the waves hit here, they're only going to be like 10 feet, but the swell will still come up into the city. So they got to evacuate the docks, the riverside area, even though it's not really a river in Cleveland. And they also warn Tim Drake's town of Davenport, which is downriver, and the Cleveland River. So, and back in Davenport. And so that's what Tim would do if he was a gamer. Move along. So back in Camelot, after the Baron Ray sends off Andrew's kids, his nieces and nephews, to the castle, he calls Pele. Who doesn't call Pele? Does he? No, he doesn't call Pele, but oh yeah, he starts. He requests R2 to give him a feed to his watch, and he's looking at Cleveland through this feed in the America section. I don't know what that means. He's gonna do. He's a possessor. Maybe something will happen. Next, on from there, he at the castle we have a whole bunch of characters. Kyle and his sister Heather, Triton and his friend Morgana and their acquaintance Nefthea. She's a druid person that we met recently. All four of them, or five of them, they get on Pele, which is a lightning ship, and then they fly to Marrakesh and then on. Oh, actually not straight to Avalon, nonstop. And as we get to Avalon and the stories that happen around there, well, Marrakesh, Brent is alerted after he is saved. I mean, not Brent. On Brent, Andrew, a lot of characters. I don't know if I'm beating you yet, George R. R. Martin, for the most amount of characters, but I'm working on it. Per story, named characters. I haven't killed as many as off, but I'm working on it. Joking. So, this is ridiculous. And just cleared out all this water out of there, and out of the canyons of Marrakesh. His wife Namora says, hey, I found, this may be last week's, I found the body of Zatanna, and she brings it to him at the castle, and he's like, okay, well, bring her and we'll get her on Brent. And so then they get on Brent, and Tristan, his page, is still with him, and they head to Avalon, realizing, because Pele recently passed them, and he's like, wait, Morgana's got the spirit staff, which earlier had helped Triton get into a clone body. So what can we do for Zatanna? So in this effort, when they put their airlocks next to each other, more next to each other, Pele and Brent, the characters mix. Morgana pulls Zatanna's spirit as she's going to heaven and pulls it back into the body that's being repaired by Brent, which is totally possible with the nanites and stuff that fixes busted up body. Basically, internal injuries, horrible situation body wise, but with her spirit back in, there's a will to fight, and she's alive. So then when in Noni, when the Count comes down and moors alongside Brent, he finds out, oh, my wife's alive. Thank God. I don't think he thank God, but he may have in his own way. So yay. Zatanna's alive, yay, but she was dead for quite some time. So problems, who knows? But then Andrew lets the Count stay there, and Andrew gets on Pele with the rest of the kids. They're not kids, but and the second gens, and heads down the coast to try to curb this wave that's coming. And I mean, it's doing damage down the coast, crazy damage, and he's trying to because he's got water control powers and see what he can do, and he's actually starting to grab and control the water and slow it down. So meanwhile, all this is going on. Back at Avatalos, the Duke and them who are back and realizes what the death is caused because Madeline had told him, okay, great, it sucks that he's dead, that Christopher Prentice had died, and then now we have a Marquess, Chloe. He said Duke basically grabs a bunch of people together, and they said, we're heading up to Marrakesh and see what we can do. First thing he does when he gets there with his group that he brought with him is save Floki. Floki was in Sean, their lightning ship, but now Sean took a big hit from the wave, the actual dragon powered wave, and got turned off. And Floki took a lot of damage too. But in the end, they bring him aboard Juno, their Duke's lightning ship, and they get him healed, or work on it. Yeah, they basically get him healed. Chloe, in the end, figures out a plan. Well, now that she's Marquess, the first thing on her mind is she's like, I'm checking in with the king, and the king, and using his computers and stuff, gives her a whole bunch of information of what she can do, because she doesn't know all this stuff, and she's not being played by a player. She's played by me, Watashi. So, Boku. And so she gets up with this plan, and she's a little pissed, and her mother mentally talking back to each other. What the heck? Why does Dad and our oldest brother just go and kill themselves? Don't they care about what we feel, or what they just go jump into things, willing to let them die for whatever. Anyways, so in this case, she gets in a little bit argument with her little younger brother, the more negative brother, but John, who is willing to punch his sister. What the flip? He's like 16, and he's like, I'm going to punch my 18-year-old sister in the face because she bosses me around and is kind of rude to me, so I'm going to punch her. So, but fortunately, Ryan Corso is there to stop that. But nonetheless, it's like, okay, you're going to go with my dad. And anyways, the whole group get together, and this basically plan to take the Juno and go under the water and at the river Delta, because they realize that the Delta, I wish I had my map available here. I gotta do a map someday. Map building. The water, the tsunami is going to come down, and kind of like it did when it hit the coast of Sri Lanka, it curves around the coast and hits actually the back side of things. not directly one way, but can and if it comes up a river, it can swoosh back and forth like any other wave would. So they got to do something to stop this. So, and they also with Anders, because he's time spot. They get a hold of Tempest and tell Tempest to get, because Tempest got the download. And anyways, they pull Tempest there, and who has water control powers. And once they go to the opening of the delta, they try to break a break wall and a trench so that it'll mess up this tsunami coming at them. With at the same time, god of fish and water, Tempest, storms and water, not really because it's not storms, Thor storms, but he's Asgardian goddess, god-ish, I meant to say. But, and so he and Andrew now are both working on quelling the wave with their powers. And that could be plausible. It could be likely that this can happen. And I'm looking forward to happiness and joy. But if not, there's just going to be this break wall, little break wall going out into the waters, and how we'll play along that as time goes on. We don't know. But it's mostly it was there to protect the rest of the barony from getting demolished, because it's already being demolished as the tsunami has gone down the coast. And the Martian Xander and his kids Matt, they were working on some sort of plan too. Also Owen and Gladius is part of the plan that Frank and Chloe had to go in the water, and as well as Owen. But initially, Owen and a bunch of others, they went to the beaches there in Avatalos and cleared the beaches and did whatever they could to reinforce housing and stuff that people live there. They can't do anything about the boats and ships. But maybe it will all be solved with this great wall of this breakwater that they're trying to build, and the two water controllers slowing down and draining the power out of this wave. Oh, there's also minorly gamed, no, not minorly, but Triton dives into the crater, which was where the area on Avatalos where Zul the dragon was killed and blown up at, and to see if he could find anything. What Triton does find is that there was a whirlpool and swishing around with all the remnants of this massive, hundreds of feet of rock just blown out of the water and all over the place. And so this stuff debris is coming back down. There's a whirlpool and it's spinning, full of lots of liquid energy, potential energy of water. Spinning. He swims down to the bottom of this because energy and water don't mess with Triton. And he finds that at the bottom of this whirlpool, in this little cleft in the water, a blue dragon egg. So when a dragon dies, and yet another one comes back. So we'll see how that goes. And so he's a little pissed. But and there's tons of gold all over the place because they're the gold that blew up. It wasn't like things when they blew up. It was more energy being released, but nothing like to melt the gold and stuff. So gold and coins and jewels all over this north end of Avatalos. And who knows how, and still we're going to be following up the aftermath of this for a while, guys. Got a couple weeks, and then I go out to, it'll be harder to game when I'm out. So, also looking at doing some I have an old written log of gaming done 25 years ago, and I was thinking of doing some videos based off of what I've wrote down in the old days, like 1990, this is what we gamed for that week or that day. But anyways, I've always wanted to keep track of the stuff, so, and I'm still working on the website, like a wiki. But anyways, hey, we still have Cleflin Knights, the YouTube channel. Whoa, blow me away. And if you want, you have any questions, leave a comment below. If you like this stuff, hey, subscribe. I need some more subscribers. And until next week, au revoir. And I look forward to seeing y'all again soon. Peace. Oh, enjoy your Walking Dead tonight, people, and your Game of Thrones.